It was 3:30 in the afternoon. School was out. Kids were piling into cars, backpacks, laughter, another ordinary Sunday. But on this street, in Chicago's back of the yards, something was watching. A motorcycle pulls up slowly alongside a car. Two people on it, guns drawn. Shots fired, she wasn't the target. She was just picking up her little brother. Krystal Cruz was 26 years old. A single mother. 4 daughters, ages 6 to 10. She never made it home. Her youngest daughter is still asking, "Grandma, when is Mommy getting up? She's
The
sleeping."
6-year-old, she said that, Grandma, when is Mommy getting up? She's sleeping?
The motorcycle still out there. The gunman not caught. The 4 little girls making Mother's Day cards for a mother who will never open them. Who pulled the trigger? Why was Krystal Cruz in the middle of it? And why has no one been arrested yet? Welcome to my channel, the channel where we don't let stories like this get buried. Where we follow the cases, the news moves on from too fast. Where the truth matters and so does justice. If this story hit you, subscribe right now. Because we are going deep into this case, the investigation, the neighborhood, the family fighting for answers, and you don't want to miss the rest of the story. Hit the notification bell, drop a comment, share this with someone who needs to see it. Because 4 little girls deserve more than silence. Let's get into it. Fourth, Chicago's South Side was doing what it always does at dismissal time, exhaling. Outside, teenagers spilling through iron gates, loud and alive, the way teenagers should be. Somewhere in that crowd, a 16-year-old boy spotted a familiar face. His big sister, reliable, always on time, always showing up. Krystal Cruz had driven across the city, not because she had to, but because that's who she was. Peace and Education Coalition High School sits deep in back of the yards, a neighborhood that carries 2 identities simultaneously. Tight-knit families on one side, decades of unresolved street conflict on the other. Residents know this. They navigate it daily. Most days, nothing happens. This was not most days. Krystal pulled her vehicle around. Her brother climbed in. His 18-year-old companion followed. 3 people, 1 car, heading home. None of them aware that somewhere nearby, 2 figures on a motorcycle had already spotted them. What happened next took seconds. The kind of seconds that split a family's entire existence into before and after. The motorcycle accelerated, closed the distance deliberately, not frantically, deliberately. That detail matters. This wasn't panic. It wasn't random chaos erupting from nowhere. Somebody made a decision. Both riders drew weapons simultaneously. Opened fire directly into the vehicle. The brother hit, hospitalized but breathing. His companion also struck, also survived. Krystal Cruz, seated behind the steering wheel, doing absolutely nothing wrong, took the fatal shot. By the time paramedics arrived, she was unresponsive. 26 years, 4 daughters, countless ordinary Sundays survived. Ended on this particular one. Here is what investigators immediately recognized. The execution was calculated. 2 armed individuals, a deliberate approach, coordinated discharge. That pattern doesn't suggest impulse. It suggests either Krystal or someone inside that vehicle was connected to something dangerous, something with enemies. But here lies the question tearing her grandmother apart every single night. Was Krystal Cruz truly involved in anything? Or did she simply drive to the wrong address, at the wrong hour, carrying the wrong passengers? Chicago detectives aren't confirming either direction publicly. Surveillance footage from surrounding blocks being reviewed. Witnesses reportedly reluctant. The motorcycle vanished, and somewhere across town, 4 little girls are drawing pictures, arranging flowers, writing names on construction paper. Still believing their artwork will reach their mother. Detectives are trained to reconstruct backward. Not forward from the crime, backward toward it. Because understanding what ignited something almost always reveals more than documenting what exploded. So let us reconstruct. Survivors remained after that vehicle absorbed gunfire on May 4th. Krystal's 16-year-old sibling, and an 18-year-old companion whose relationship to this entire situation authorities have not publicly clarified. Both hospitalized, both recovering physically. But here is something seasoned investigators understand deeply. Survivors carry information, sometimes deliberately, sometimes without even realizing. Consider the geography for a moment. Back of the Yards has experienced persistent territorial disputes across multiple generations. Boundaries shift, alliances fracture, retaliation cycles operate almost mechanically, action producing reaction, reaction producing fresh action. Outsiders occasionally wander into situations they fundamentally misread. Insiders sometimes bring situations directly to their doorstep. Which category applies here? Authorities haven't confirmed either publicly. But the methodology of the attack strongly suggests prior surveillance. Think carefully about what actually unfolded. A motorcycle didn't stumble accidentally upon Krystal's vehicle outside a high school. Somebody either followed that specific car or knew precisely when dismissal occurred and positioned accordingly. Both possibilities demand serious examination. Following the vehicle implies prior knowledge of Krystal's routine, her schedule, her involvement during pickup, her connection to whoever rode alongside her brother. Positioning near dismissal implies reconnaissance, planning, patience. Neither scenario points toward coincidence. Now factor in something equally significant. Witnesses near Peace and Education Coalition that afternoon, reportedly hesitant to cooperate fully with investigators. That reluctance itself communicates volumes in neighborhoods where speaking publicly carries consequences beyond legal proceedings. Fear operates as effectively as silence. And silence protects perpetrators longer than anything else possibly could. Meanwhile, Stella Hernandez sits inside a house now permanently altered. Photographs of Krystal surround her. 4 granddaughters require explanations nobody has adequate language for. Grief operates on its own brutal schedule, arriving without warning, departing reluctantly. Oldest daughter, 10 years old, is beginning to comprehend permanence. That her mother's absence isn't temporary. That the decorations were finished too late. That Mother's Day arrived and departed without anyone receiving them. Hernandez revealed something during interviews that investigators likely noted carefully. Krystal wasn't embedded in conflict, wasn't affiliated, wasn't someone carrying street-level baggage through daily existence. She raised daughters, answered calls, showed up reliably whenever her siblings needed transportation. That consistency, that very dependability, may have ultimately cost her everything. Because if you needed to reach someone connected to that vehicle, you simply needed to know their sister's schedule. Predictability, in certain environments, transforms into vulnerability without warning. Chicago police confirmed surveillance footage from surrounding areas remains under active review. No arrests issued. No suspects formally identified publicly. The motorcycle described but unrecovered, weeks dissolving into silence. Tips drying before fully materializing. Justice still somewhere beyond the horizon. 4 daughters deserve better than an open case gathering procedural dust. Stella Hernandez deserves resolution before grief permanently reshapes her. And somewhere out there, 2 individuals on a motorcycle are still breathing freely. Still moving through ordinary afternoons. Still unpunished. Every unsolved shooting in Chicago eventually becomes a number. A statistic filed between 2 dates on a departmental spreadsheet. Assigned a case reference, cataloged, shelved. Families reduced to periodic phone calls from detectives offering updates that never quite materialize into breakthroughs. Krystal Cruz cannot become that number. Refuse to allow it. Here is the reality confronting investigators right now. Eyewitness cooperation remains fractured. Physical evidence, the motorcycle, the discharged casings, potential ballistic trajectories, either collected or actively processed. Digital footage from surrounding commercial establishments and residential cameras represents perhaps the strongest viable pathway toward identification. Modern forensic capabilities can extract remarkable detail from seemingly unusable video quality. License plates, helmet designs, jacket patterns, physical builds. Fragments that individually mean little assembled collectively construct portraits solid enough to pursue, but technology alone cannot close this. Communities close cases. Neighbors who noticed something unusual that afternoon. Drivers who observed a particular motorcycle circling before shots rang out. Shopkeepers, residents, parents conducting identical school pickups nearby. Someone saw something. Someone always does. Stella Hernandez understands this better than most, which is precisely why she stepped publicly forward despite immeasurable personal anguish. Grief that heavy could reasonably justify complete withdrawal from public visibility. Instead, she faced cameras, shared photographs, pleaded openly, performing sorrow for attention. Strategically ensuring Krystal's face remained visible long enough for recognition to trigger conscience in someone carrying relevant knowledge. Because here is an uncomfortable truth about street-level violence that rarely surfaces during mainstream coverage. Perpetrators almost never operate in complete anonymity within their immediate environment. Associates know. Companions suspect. Somebody heard conversations beforehand, noticed unusual behavior afterward, registered guilt-wearing disguises, excessive drinking, sudden disappearances, nervous energy impossible to conceal indefinitely. That person exists somewhere in this equation. Currently choosing protection over accountability. Currently weighing loyalty against four fatherless, now motherless, daughters building futures without their foundation. 10 years old. 9, 8, 6. 4 ages that represent 4 entire lifetimes, now permanently fractured before genuinely beginning. The 10-year-old will eventually search her mother's name online. Will discover articles, videos, comments from strangers processing collective outrage. Will read descriptions of her mother's final moments written by people who never once shared a meal with her. What she finds during that search, what version of her mother's legacy exists digitally, matters profoundly. Which is exactly why documentation like this carries responsibility beyond entertainment, beyond engagement metrics, beyond algorithm rewarding sensation over substance. Krystal Cruz deserves a record that captures her humanity, not merely her tragedy. A devoted sister who drove across the city without hesitation. A dedicated parent raising daughters independently, determinedly, lovingly. A 26-year-old woman whose entire remaining chapter was violently erased by cowards who haven't faced consequences yet. If authorities need assistance, contact Chicago police through anonymous tip lines. If neighbors witnessed anything surrounding Peace and Education Coalition on May 4th, report it. If conscience is currently wrestling against misplaced loyalty somewhere out there. 4 daughters are patiently, unknowingly, waiting. This concludes our coverage of Krystal Cruz. But her daughter's story continues. And so does ours. If this 3-part coverage moved something inside you, that reaction means something. Honor it by hitting subscribe so cases like Krystal's never disappear quietly. Share this across every platform available to you, because somewhere, someone watching might hold the missing piece investigators desperately need. Drop Justice for Krystal in the comments below. Let her daughters one day scroll through and discover how many strangers refuse to forget their mother. That's powerful, that's community, that's why this channel exists. Until next time, stay aware, stay vocal, stay human.